The last resort. Grand Admiral Xelix stared through the observation dome of the Galactic Council's headquarters, watching the unusual phenomenon that had appeared in the Centaurus arm. The swirling mass of purple and black energy shouldn't exist according to any known laws of physics, yet there it was, growing larger with each passing cycle. "How many systems have we lost?" she asked, her crystalline form reflecting the eerie light of the anomaly. First speaker Thean, a being of pure energy contained within an advanced containment field, flickered with distress. 17 in the past solar rotation alone. The anomaly is accelerating, Admiral. Our predictive models suggest it will reach the core worlds within 3 standard years. The emergency council chamber fell silent. Representatives from over 10,000 civilizations watched through quantum-linked channels as their greatest minds admitted defeat. The Preservers, ancient beings who had guided galactic civilization for millions of years, had no solution. The collective intelligence of the Nexus worlds, with its trillion-node quantum computing network, could not even model the anomaly's behavior. "Perhaps," said Ambassador Kree, his insectoid mandibles clicking thoughtfully, "we have been approaching this problem from the wrong direction." Xelix turned her crystalline head toward him. In her 50,000 years of service, she had learned to recognize when someone was about to suggest something either brilliant or catastrophically stupid. "Explain." "There is one species we haven't consulted," Kree continued. "They're primitive by our standards, barely spacefaring. Their technology is laughably crude, but they have a certain reputation." The chamber erupted in murmurs as understanding spread. First speaker Thean's energy form pulsed with alarm. "You cannot be serious." "The humans. They're chaos incarnate." "Precisely," Kree said. "Look at their history. When faced with impossible problems, they don't solve them, they redefine them. They break rules they don't even understand exist. Their solutions violate every principle of logical problem-solving. Yet somehow, they work." Admiral Xelix's crystalline form sparkled as she processed this suggestion. The humans were indeed an anomaly themselves. While every other known species followed predictable paths of technological and social development, humans seemed to leap forward in random, impossible bursts. They had gone from primitive chemical rockets to crude faster-than-light travel in less than 3 centuries, a feat that had taken other races millennia. They did solve the Helios crisis, offered Council member Zix, their plasma form swirling thoughtfully. Every advanced race had declared the star's collapse inevitable, yet 3 humans with a mining ship and what they called a crazy idea stabilized it. That was different, Theme protested. This anomaly defies the fundamental laws of reality itself. We cannot entrust the fate of the galaxy to a species that still thinks digital watches are a pretty neat idea. Admiral Xelix raised a crystalline appendage for silence. "What do we know about how they solve problems?" Kree's antennae twitched with excitement. "They have this concept they call lateral thinking. When faced with an impossible problem, they often solve it by asking questions no sane species would consider. They embrace chaos, randomness, and what they call crazy ideas. Their history is filled with solutions that worked despite violating every known principle of their own science. And right now," Xelix said slowly, "we face a phenomenon that violates every known principle of our science." She turned back to the viewing dome, watching the impossible anomaly twist and grow. "Perhaps we need a perspective unconstrained by advanced knowledge, a species that doesn't know enough to know what's impossible." The chamber erupted in argument, but Xelix had already made her decision. She had not become Grand Admiral by following convention, and the galaxy was running out of options. First speaker Thean, prepare a delegation. Ambassador Kree, you will lead it. Find us some humans, but not their leaders or their top scientists. Find us the ones even other humans consider strange. The dreamers. The ones who ask what if instead of how. As the council chamber cleared, Xelix continued to watch the anomaly. The humans had a saying that had always puzzled her: think outside the box. Perhaps now, with the galaxy itself at stake, she finally understood. Sometimes the best way to solve an impossible problem was to hand it to someone who didn't know enough to know it was impossible. She only hoped the humans' notorious talent for chaos would be enough to save them all. The impossible task. Maya Chen had always been considered the black sheep of the quantum physics department at MIT. Her colleagues called her theories fringe science at best and pure fantasy at worst. Currently, she sat cross-legged on her office floor, surrounded by takeout containers and holographic equations, trying to explain to a hologram of a giant insect why she needed a whiteboard in every room of her apartment. "The ideas come at night," she explained, gesturing with a half-eaten slice of pizza. "And they don't wait for me to find paper. Last week, I solved a quantum tunneling problem while shampooing my hair. Had to write it on the shower wall with my son's bath crayons." Ambassador Kree's antennae twitched in what might have been amusement or horror. Maya wasn't sure how to read alien body language yet, and this unconventional approach helps you understand quantum mechanics. "Understanding is overrated," Maya said, standing to pace the cluttered office. "The moment you think you understand quantum mechanics, you've probably got it wrong. I prefer to dance with it. Let it surprise me. Speaking of which, that temporal anomaly you showed me. It's not breaking the laws of physics. It's singing them." Across the city, in a rundown community center, Ambassador Kree's assistant Zix was watching a group of 5-year-olds finger paint under the guidance of Sarah Rodriguez. The plasma-based alien had taken the form of a shimmering cloud to avoid frightening the children, who had immediately dubbed them the Sparkly Friend and demanded they join in the art session. "Ms. Rodriguez," Zix began, their form rippling with confusion, "our scans indicate you have no formal scientific training. How do you approach complex problems with your students?" Sarah smiled, helping the small boy add stars to his painting of what appeared to be a dinosaur driving a rocket ship. "Kids don't see problems the way adults do. They don't know what's impossible yet. Last week, Tommy here figured out how to build a better bridge than the one in our engineering kit by ignoring all the instructions and using the pieces wrong. Sometimes the best solutions come from not knowing the right way to do things." Meanwhile, in a bustling food truck in downtown Boston, James "Jimmy" Okonjo was explaining his cooking philosophy to an increasingly fascinated Ambassador Kree. The self-taught chef had gained minor viral fame for his impossible fusion dishes that combined ingredients and techniques that culinary experts insisted should never go together. "See," everyone said, "you can't combine Nigerian jollof rice with molecular gastronomy," Jimmy said, expertly plating what appeared to be a cloud of sparkling rice that somehow maintained its form in the breeze. "But I figured, who made that rule? Sometimes you gotta break everything you know about cooking to make something new. It's like jazz. The magic happens in the spaces between the notes." The final member of their unlikely team was already waiting at the secure facility when the others arrived. Ash Martinez stood before a massive wall covered in what appeared to be a single continuous line of spray paint that somehow formed a perfect three-dimensional representation of space-time curvature around a black hole. "Street art is just applied topology," they explained to the bewildered alien delegation. "The city is my canvas, and physics is my paint. I failed high school math, but I can feel the geometry of space. It's all about seeing the patterns that everyone else is too busy calculating to notice." Ambassador Kree gathered the 4 humans in what had once been a military bunker and was now filled with technology that would make most advanced civilizations jealous. The holographic display showed the anomaly, now larger than ever, its impossible physics twisting the very fabric of space. "To be clear," Maya said, studying the display while absently solving equations on her arm with a marker, "you're asking 4 humans who are considered weird, even by human standards, to solve a problem that the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy couldn't crack." "Precisely," Kree confirmed. "Our experts have failed. Our quantum computers cannot model it. Our most advanced theories cannot explain it. We need, what is the human phrase? Out-of-box thinking. Outside the box, Sarah corrected, already seeing patterns in the anomaly's movement that reminded her of her students' dance performances. But I think in this case, we need to throw away the box entirely. Jimmy stepped closer to the hologram, his chef's instincts noting how the energy flows resembled the way heat moved through different ingredients. It's like when you're cooking something new. Sometimes you have to forget everything you know about how food is supposed to work. Ash was already painting, their hands moving in sync with the anomaly's pulses. It's not breaking physics, they said, echoing Maya's earlier observation. It's dancing with it. Look at the symmetry, the rhythm. It's not chaos. It's a new kind of order. Maya grinned, her marker squeaking across a newly installed whiteboard. Exactly. The advanced civilizations are looking at it like it's a problem to be solved. But what if it's not a problem at all? What if it's an opportunity? Ambassador Kree watched as the four humans began to work, each approaching the galaxy's greatest crisis through their own unique lens. Maya's quantum equations sprawled across every surface, intersecting with Ash's reality-bending art. Sarah organized complex data using teaching tools designed for kindergartners, while Jimmy mapped energy flows using principles borrowed from heat distribution in fusion cooking. None of it should have worked. None of it made any logical sense. But as Kree watched, patterns began to emerge. Patterns that all of the galaxy's supercomputers had somehow missed. Perhaps, the ambassador reflected, that was exactly the point. The fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of four humans who had made careers out of ignoring the impossible. As the team settled into their work, their excited chatter filling the room, Kree sent a message back to the council. The humans have begun. They appear to be solving the problem by refusing to acknowledge that it is unsolvable. Most disturbing, yet oddly hopeful. Breaking the rules. The alien observation team watched in growing alarm as Maya Chen danced through the holographic representation of the temporal anomaly, her movements seemingly random, but somehow matching its impossible patterns. Behind her, Sarah Rodriguez had arranged a group of stuffed animals in what she claimed was a visual representation of quantum entanglement, while Jimmy Okonjo was cooking something that violated at least 3 laws of thermodynamics. This is madness. First speaker Thean's energy form pulsed with distress. They're treating a critical scientific crisis like a playground. Ambassador Kree finished, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. And yet, observe. On the main display, Ash Martinez's latest artwork shimmered across the wall. A sprawling mural that somehow captured the anomaly's movement in 4-dimensional space. As they worked, the holographic representation of the anomaly's energy patterns began to shift, matching the artwork's flow. That's impossible, Thean protested. They can't be affecting it through simple visual representation. Our most powerful quantum computers couldn't. Look, Maya interrupted, pointing excitedly at her equations, which now covered not only the whiteboards but also the windows, several tables, and what appeared to be Jimmy's apron. The anomaly isn't random. It's recursive. It's playing with itself. Sarah nodded enthusiastically, rearranging her stuffed animals. Just like my kids during free play. They're not being chaotic. They're exploring possibilities. Watch the pattern. She moved a stuffed elephant, and somehow the movement perfectly mirrored a fluctuation in the anomaly's quantum field. The alien scientists' monitoring equipment erupted in alerts as impossible data poured across their screens. It's like cooking with quantum foam, Jimmy added, stirring something that glowed slightly. You can't force it to do what you want. You have to give it room to experiment. Let the flavors find their own balance. The humans appear to be anthropomorphizing a critical spatial temporal phenomenon. One of the alien scientists reported, their tentacles writhing in agitation. Yes, Kree agreed, and it's working. Maya had stopped dancing and was now scribbling frantically, her equations spilling off the whiteboard and onto the floor. We've been thinking about this all wrong. The anomaly isn't a tear in space-time. It's space-time learning to play. That's not how physics works, Thean objected. Says who? Ash asked, adding another impossible curve to their mural. The universe wrote the laws of physics, right? Maybe it can rewrite them too. Maybe it needs to. Sarah had begun arranging her students' finger paintings in a pattern that eerily mimicked the anomaly's quantum fluctuations. When children learn, they test boundaries. They break rules to understand why those rules exist. What if the universe does the same thing? The alien scientists watched in horror as Jimmy added something to his quantum pot that made reality hiccup. In fusion cooking, sometimes you have to let ingredients break down completely before they can combine into something new. What if that's what's happening here? The universe is deconstructing itself to evolve. Maya's eyes lit up. Yes, it's not an anomaly. It's metamorphosis. The universe isn't breaking, it's growing. And like any growing system, it needs room to experiment, to play, to make mistakes. Sarah finished. That's how learning works. You try, you fail, you learn, you grow. Ash stepped back from their mural, which now seemed to breathe with its own life. The advanced civilizations tried to stop it, to fix it, to force it back into the old patterns. But you can't stop evolution. You can only guide it. Jimmy stirred his impossible concoction one final time. So instead of fighting it, we dance with it, Maya finished. She turned to the alien delegation, her eyes shining with the kind of madness that had led humans to achieve everything they'd been told was impossible. We need to stop trying to prevent the anomaly and start trying to teach it how to play nicely with the rest of reality. The alien observers watched in stunned silence as the four humans began to implement their insane plan. Maya's equations described physics that couldn't possibly work, yet the anomaly responded to them. Sarah's teaching tools somehow mapped perfectly to quantum state transitions. Jimmy's cooking created controlled microenvironments that stabilized temporal fluctuations, while Ash's art seemed to guide the anomaly's evolution through pure aesthetic resonance. This violates every principle of science we know, Thien said weakly. Yes, Cree agreed, watching as the humans essentially began to teach the universe how to rewrite its own laws without breaking itself. That appears to be exactly the point. The monitoring equipment continued to register impossible data as the humans worked, their chaotic methods slowly bringing order to the cosmic chaos, not by imposing rules, but by showing it how to play within them. As the anomaly began to stabilize, not through force, but through what Maya called quantum entropy dance lessons, Cree sent another message to the council. The humans have developed a solution. I cannot explain how it works, as it appears to violate several fundamental laws of physics. However, preliminary results suggest they are teaching the universe how to evolve without destroying itself. They insist this is perfectly normal and compare it to, quote, teaching a toddler to finger paint without eating the paint. Request immediate authorization to continue, despite the fact that nothing about this should be possible. The human factor. The Galactic Council's emergency session was in chaos. Holographic representations of thousands of advanced species flickered as they argued over the latest data from Earth. In the center of the storm, Admiral Xelix's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained excitement as she reviewed the humans' progress. You mean to tell me, she addressed Ambassador Cree, that they're treating the universe-threatening anomaly like it's a student in need of guidance? More precisely, Cree's mandibles clicked rapidly. They've theorized that the anomaly represents the universe attempting to evolve, and they're teaching it how to do so safely. Maya Chen's hologram appeared next to them, covered in equation-covered sticky notes. It's really quite simple, she said, causing several alien scientists to vibrate in distress. Every complex system needs to evolve. The universe is the most complex system there is. We just needed to stop treating it like a machine and start treating it like a living thing. In the research facility, Jimmy had created what he called a quantum tasting menu, a series of controlled reactions that demonstrated stable versus unstable physical laws. See, when you're developing a new dish, you don't just throw ingredients together, he explained to the observation team. You introduce them gradually, Let them learn to work together. Sarah Rodriguez had transformed an entire wall into what she called a universal playground, using children's toys to model multidimensional quantum states. The universe isn't broken, she insisted. It's just going through a growth spurt. Like any child, it needs boundaries, but it also needs freedom to explore. Ash's artwork had evolved beyond the visible spectrum, their murals now incorporating quantum fluctuations that somehow stabilized local space-time. Art isn't about control, they explained while painting with what appeared to be condensed probability. It's about finding the balance between chaos and order. The breakthrough came when Maya noticed something extraordinary in their combined work. Look at this. She pointed to a pattern that emerged where Jimmy's quantum cuisine experiments intersected with Sarah's toy-based models and Ash's reality-warping art. The anomaly doesn't just respond to our actions, it responds to our intentions. Impossible, first speaker Thien declared. Consciousness cannot directly influence quantum-level cosmic phenomena. Why not? Sarah asked, genuinely curious. My 5-year-olds influence each other's behavior through pure intention all the time. The universe is just a really big kindergarten class. The ladies got a point, Jimmy added, stirring a pot that somehow contained a miniature, stable version of the anomaly. In cooking, intention matters. The same ingredients with the same technique can taste different depending on the chef's state of mind. Ash nodded, adding a flourish to their mural that made local gravity hiccup. Every artist knows that emotion and intention become part of the work. We're not just observing the universe, we're in a relationship with it. Maya's equations had begun to incorporate what she called consciousness variables, mathematical expressions that shouldn't have worked, yet perfectly predicted the anomaly's responses to their efforts. The advanced civilizations tried to solve this with pure logic, she explained. But you can't logic your way through a relationship. You have to feel it, dance with it, grow with it. The alien scientists watched in mounting confusion as the human team began to actively collaborate with the anomaly, treating it not as a problem to be solved, but as a partner in cosmic evolution. Sarah used teaching techniques designed for special needs children to help it understand stable patterns. Jimmy created quantum flavor profiles that demonstrated harmonic physical laws. Ash's art provided a visual language for complex dimensional interactions, while Maya's new mathematics somehow quantified the unquantifiable. This defies all known science, one of the alien observers noted. Of course it does, Maya replied cheerfully. That's what evolution is supposed to do. If it didn't defy current understanding, it wouldn't be growth. It would just be more of the same. As if in response to her words, the anomaly's pattern shifted. The destructive chaos began to transform into something new. A controlled evolution of physical laws that expanded possibilities without destroying existing structures. The universe, it seemed, was learning to grow up. It's beautiful, Ash whispered, watching the transformation through artist's eyes. Like a butterfly emerging from a quantum cocoon. Sarah smiled, recognizing the pattern. Just like when a child suddenly understands a new concept, that moment of chaos before everything clicks into place. The flavor profiles are stabilizing, Jimmy reported, his quantum cuisine now producing harmonious reactions instead of reality hiccups. It's finding its balance. Maya's equations had somehow begun to solve themselves, expanding into new forms of mathematics that described things that shouldn't have been possible. We didn't fix the anomaly, she realized. We just showed the universe how to fix itself. All it needed was someone willing to listen and learn along with it. Admiral Xilix's crystalline form sparkled with amazement as she watched the data poured in. The humans hadn't just solved the crisis. They'd revolutionized the galaxy's understanding of reality itself. They had done it not through superior technology or advanced science, but through something much more fundamental. The ability to treat the unknown not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a student to be guided, a partner to be danced with, a story to be told. Perhaps, she mused to Ambassador Kree, this is why no species dares to challenge humans. They don't just think outside the box, they reimagine the very nature of boxes themselves. The ambassador's antennae twitched in agreement. They take everything we think we know about the universe and turn it into a playground. And somehow, against all logic, the universe plays back. A new understanding. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Representatives of 10,000 civilizations watched in stunned silence as the holographic display showed the former anomaly, now transformed into something entirely new, a controlled evolution of space-time itself. Maya Chen stood before them, still wearing her equation-covered lab coat, her hair wild and eyes bright with the excitement of discovery. Behind her, Sarah Rodriguez had fallen asleep in a chair, surrounded by quantum state modeling toys. Jimmy Okonjo was serving his universe-harmonizing cuisine to bewildered alien diplomats, while Ash Martinez put the finishing touches on a mural that somehow existed in 6 dimensions. In conclusion, Maya said, gesturing to a whiteboard covered in impossible mathematics, "The universe isn't a machine running on fixed laws. It's a living system, capable of growth and evolution. All it needed was someone to show it how to grow safely." "But this contradicts everything we know about physics," protested a representative from the collective intelligence of the Nexus worlds. "Our quantum computers." "Your quantum computers think like quantum computers," Jimmy interrupted, offering a plate of something that sparkled with probability waves. "They see only what they're programmed to see. Sometimes you need to taste the impossible to understand it." Sarah stirred in her chair, blinking awake. "It's like when I have a new student who doesn't fit any standard teaching model. You don't force them to conform. You create a new model that works for them." "The universe was trying to express something new," Ash added, their paint-stained hands moving as they spoke. "But all the advanced civilizations were trying to force it back into old patterns. Sometimes you need to let go of what you think art should be and let it become what it needs to be." Admiral Xelix's crystalline form pulsed with curiosity. "And you believe this evolutionary process will continue?" "Of course," Maya beamed. "But now it's like a supervised learning program. The universe can explore new possibilities without tearing itself apart. We've established a framework for controlled evolution of physical laws. Think of it like teaching a child to experiment safely," Sarah explained. "You set boundaries while encouraging creativity. The universe was having a tantrum because no one understood what it was trying to do." "Or like developing a new cuisine," Jimmy added. "You don't just throw out all the old recipes. You build on them, expand them, create new combinations that shouldn't work but somehow do." Ash nodded toward their mural, which seemed to breathe with its own life. "Everything wants to grow, to evolve, to become more than it is, even reality itself." First speaker Thean's energy form flickered with concern. "But how can we be sure this evolution won't destabilize existing structures?" Maya's grin grew wider. "That's the beautiful part. Here, let me show you." She began scribbling equations that shouldn't have made sense, yet somehow perfectly described how the universe could rewrite its own laws while maintaining stability. "It's all about balance," Junie explained, stirring something that smelled like stardust. "Like how you can add new ingredients without ruining the base flavors. The universe is learning to expand its palate. And we'll help guide it," Sarah added. "Just like teaching a child, it's an ongoing process. The universe is growing up, and it needs mentors who understand that growth isn't always logical or predictable." Ash stepped back from their mural, which now seemed to connect directly with the transformed anomaly. "We're not just observers anymore. We're participants in cosmic evolution, partners in the universe's creative process." The council chamber erupted in discussion, thousands of advanced species trying to process this revolutionary understanding. Admiral Xelix raised a crystalline appendage for silence. "Let me be clear," she said, her form sparkling with barely contained amusement. "You 4 humans, using methods that defy all conventional science, have not only solved our crisis but revolutionized our understanding of reality itself." "Pretty much," Maya cheerfully confirmed. Though to be fair, we mostly just showed the universe how to solve its own problems. Sometimes the best teaching is just giving someone the space and support to figure things out for themselves. Ambassador Kree's antennae twitched. And this is normal for humans. Oh, definitely not, Jimmy laughed. We're the weird ones. Most humans would have tried something much crazier. The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. These weren't even their species' best and brightest. Just 4 humans who approached problems differently. What else might humanity be capable of? I believe, Admiral Xelix announced, we need to seriously reconsider humanity's role in galactic society. Not as a primitive species to be guided, but as teachers who might help us all learn to see the universe in new ways. As the council session adjourned, Maya had already covered 3 new whiteboards with equations exploring the possibilities of guided universal evolution. Sarah was explaining to a group of alien scientists how finger painting could model quantum state transitions. Jimmy's quantum cuisine had sparked a revolution in xenogastronomy, while Ash's reality warping art was being studied by physicists and philosophers alike. The 4 humans had done more than save the galaxy. They had opened up entirely new realms of possibility. And they had done it not through advanced technology or logical perfection, but through humanity's greatest strengths: creativity, adaptability, and the ability to see past what everyone else knew was impossible. In the years that followed, whenever someone asked why no species dared to challenge humans, they would be told this story. Not because humans were the most advanced, or the strongest, or the smartest, but because they were the ones crazy enough to dance with the universe itself and somehow teach it new steps in the cosmic ballet. As Maya often said, while helping other species understand the new physics she had helped discover, the impossible is just something that hasn't learned how to play nicely with reality yet. And humans, we're really good at teaching things how to play.